The Wake-Up Call. While blissfully in dreamland, the sudden sound of rushing water didn't match the recurring dream I was having. I lingered a few moments between dreamland and reality. Not yet knowing that it was only 2:30 in the morning, I wondered if my housemate was up washing dishes or something. But it sounded like far too much water for dishes. So I got up and promptly turned on the light switch to investigate the sound. It was a flood in my bathroom. Water wasn't merely dripping or trickling, it was literally pouring. It was coming from under the sink, under the cabinet door, overflowing onto the floor and out into the hallway. When I yelled to my housemate that the bathroom was flooding, she soon was up and coming. After we turned off the valves under the sink, we stood there stunned. It was all so sudden, seemingly, and unexpected. It was too early to call the landlord, so we partially cleaned up the mess and went back to sleep, I think. Later in the morning, my housemate called the landlord. He said he'd send over a plumber in the afternoon. Knowing the approximate time of his soon arrival, there was a sudden spring in our step to clean up the rest of the home. When the plumber came, he investigated the area and discovered the problem: decayed tubing. He replaced the old tubing with the better kind, and now it works fine. Our home flood reminded us of the Noah's Ark story. In that Genesis account, the antediluvians hadn't listened to the flood warnings Noah had given. By comparison, we too didn't hear. When our flood began, we initially, sleepily, turned a deaf ear. We preferred dreamland. By contrast, in our home, there weren't actually signs of warning of decaying tubing. Perhaps because we hadn't been looking? What if the tubing had burst at a different time of day, when my housemate and I may have been away? And what if we were away for several hours or days? It was by divine grace that it happened when it did, so God could lovingly, quickly alert us to the danger at hand. May the spiritual lessons we learned not be lost. Let's all stay alert. Let's listen. Let's choose the truth, even when it sometimes doesn't match our dreams. Let's prefer reality over fables. Falls don't happen suddenly, overnight. Just like the rubber tubing had, little by little, been slowly decaying till it seemingly suddenly burst, so do little daily compromises deteriorate our power to resist temptation when the enemy comes in like a flood. Let's be aware of the times in which we're living. Jesus will soon indeed be up and coming to rescue us. Let's share the necessary warnings with others while there's time. We must let others know what time it is in prophecy's timeline, and that time is short. There isn't another deluge coming, for God promised that he would never again destroy the earth by a flood. But we need to warn others of the destruction that will come upon the wicked. May we each reflect Christ and be a good example of God's power to save. Our transformed lives and loving warnings can inspire others to be among the alive and wise instead of among the destructed wicked.